All right. Hi there, Emily. We
Hi.
are just getting started here. Thanks to folks who are arriving. We're going to just give folks a couple minutes to arrive and get themselves settled in. And actually, just while we're waiting, I'm going to get some housekeeping notes up on the screen. So if our slide controller can just go to the next slide. Great. Okay, so just while we're giving folks time to arrive, a couple notes about this Zoom setup. So you'll notice that there is a Q&A function. So please, if you have questions for the Q&A portion of the webinar today, please ask your questions in that. It helps us to keep track of the questions and make sure that they get answered. You'll also notice that the chat function is enabled and chat discussion is welcome. So feel free to share where you're coming from or share about your projects or just sort of ask kind of general questions or topics to the rest of us. But know that for the Q&A, we're going to be specifically monitoring the Q&A function. If you are experiencing any technical difficulties, you can try to send a message through the chat function to the hosts, and we'll try to help you out live. One thing to note, if you are watching this and you can't hear me right now, there is an autoplay function to make sure that's enabled in your browser, and that'll just make sure that you can hear audio through this Zoom webinar. Okay, great. So looking forward to seeing your questions and your chat, and we're just going to give folks a couple more minutes to arrive before we get started. And we can advance to the next slide as well. Okay, looks like we've got some folks here, and we'll just get started very shortly. All right, great. Not seeing any technical questions. So yeah, let's get started here. So welcome everyone to this Mapbox webinar. I am your host, Marina Smith, and today I'm joined by our special guest, Emily White, who is the Director of Product for Flybuy by Radius Networks. Flybuy is the leading customer experience platform that helps restaurants and retailers generate repeat customers by implementing a comprehensive, turnkey, location-based system. We're going to learn all about that today and how they use it to optimize the order handoff, pickup, and delivery experience. So we've got 30 minutes. I'll start with just a quick little bit of context on Mapbox for folks who are new to Mapbox. Then we'll dive into Flybuy, including the importance of location technologies for Flybuy clients and a cool behind the scenes look at how Emily has built the Flybuy pickup platform. And then we'll keep some time for questions from the audience. So if you are watching this session live, please feel welcome to ask questions through the Q&A function, and we'll do our best to answer them all live or in the chat by text. All right, next slide, please. Oh, here we go, agenda. So this is what we're going to run through. We've got 30 minutes today. Next slide, please. All righty, so Mapbox. What is Mapbox for folks who are new to us? Next slide. Mapbox equips organizations to innovate with location technology. And this innovation takes many different forms because location underpins so many different aspects of daily life and decision making. Whether you're planning and tracking, say, a run or a hike with Strava or AllTrails, or maybe you're taking an e-scooter around town or ordering food for delivery, or navigating in a Toyota Tundra or a Rivian, you're using Mapbox technology, even though that experience itself feels quite different case to case. The need for location intelligence is everywhere, and Mapbox exists to help our customers build with maps and location services to better serve their clients and grow their businesses. Next slide, please. We have over 3.9 million registered developers who are building with the Mapbox platform and more than 700 million active users every month of apps that use Mapbox. And this in turn powers 2.1 billion miles of road data every week. And that helps us to power this live updating map, over 100,000 updates every single day to that underlying map data used by all of our customers. And that's just an illustration of the power of a living location platform. And final slide. So the modular architecture of the Mapbox platform means that any developer, any company can build a location intelligent application that's tailored to their needs, whether that's on web, mobile, or even within vehicles and embedded systems. And really, it's the stories of Mapbox customers that illuminate the potential of this technology and this platform. So that's why we love to host conversations like this with Emily and Flybuy to share in more detail about how Mapbox is helping them innovate. All right, so with that, Emily, can you set the scene for us? Who is Radius Networks and what is the Flybuy platform?
Absolutely. Thank you for the intro. As I was introduced, I am Emily White. I'm the Director of Product here at Flybuy, and we'll just continue here. Flybuy as a platform uses location technology to help companies and brands, whether that's a restaurant, retail, grocery, save time, reduce friction, and drive revenue and drive repeat customers to help with staff operations and simplify the guest experience. We're leaders in this space. We're scaled worldwide, and we're very flexible. We, just as Mapbox does to us, we work with our customers as a partner to be a tech arm for them to help just with staff operations. So a little bit of a different focus. So we're using Mapbox to power our tools to help the staff operations. We have a suite of products. Today, we're going to focus on pickup specifically, but just wanted to touch on a few other things that we do. So order ahead and pickup. We also optimize delivery driver pickup. So not necessarily direct customers, but DSPs, delivery service providers, and when they're arriving on site for a seamless order handoff. We also have a notification toolkit that brands use in their app for loyalty and marketing engagement. And then we have on-premise solutions as well for identification in the drive-through to increase throughput. So using location, mainly Bluetooth for that, as well as in-store solutions. So whether the customer is dining in or picking up, being able to detect where they are on site inside the store. We have a lot of really great brands under our belt in all different verticals. As you can imagine, each brand has their own set of use cases and operational procedures, and it can vary. So we work with each one of these brands to apply our solutions to them. Fun fact, Flybuy facilitates over 17 million pickups per month, and that's growing. And again, powered by Mapbox, which is very exciting. So that's a lot of transactions and a lot of API calls, which we'll get into in a little bit.
That is huge. Yeah, what an impressive list of brands and customers on this slide. Can you tell us what are the sorts of challenges and opportunities that you're assisting your clients with?
Yeah, so if we want to hone in on pickup, just because I think it's most applicable for this group, we really drive with the philosophy of order ahead, pick up anywhere. So meeting your customers where they are. Times are changing and we're getting way more towards a customer being able to select whatever ordering flow they want to do and wherever they want to pick up. So whether it's carry out, curbside, in the drive-through, dining in the store, delivery, and even sometimes locker pickup, we're helping facilitate using location services to reduce the friction point there. So previously, and just to use curbside as an example, without Flybuy, our partners and brands would have to have a very manual system. So customer orders ahead, great, all good. And when they arrive on site, there's no visibility into when they're getting there. So there's usually signage with a phone number. The staff then learns right then that they're on site. So customer calls, sometimes there's a phone tree, and sometimes they have to wait for the staff to go prepare their order because the final touches weren't done. By the time all of that happens, it can be 5, 10, 15 minutes, depending on the volume. So we really are working to reduce that number and also measure that number. So putting technology behind it to let these brands know, hey, your customers are actually waiting up to 5-10 minutes. Don't you want to know when they're on their way so you can and tag orders and know what needs to go out when? So that's ultimately what we're trying to do with pickup, and a big pain point we're trying to solve. There's a lot going on in a restaurant, a lot going on in the grocery space or retail, and there's not always someone dedicated up at the front waiting for a curbside customer or pickup customer to roll through. So we have handheld devices, we have a dashboard, which I'll show in a little bit, to give those alerts and let them know when folks are coming. So we have different state changes. And again, I'll get into this in the demo, but really what we're trying to do is optimize the pickup by their arrival and where they are, as I mentioned. So are they nearby? Have they arrived on site? Or when they're on site, where exactly are they? We predefine pickup zones and draw premise boundaries around different sites to set those different state changes. We use Mapbox for our ETA calculations to get to the lat long of a store. And we also use Mapbox for the tiles and the maps on our staff dashboard for the staff to see. We also automate the customer experience, as I mentioned. So instead of calling ahead, this is just showing we prompt notifications back to the customer too. So it's not just about the staff experience, it's also about the customer knowing what's going on with their order, where they should be, and when. So we facilitate all of this via our SDK and brand apps. We allow the user to share their location via that SDK, and we get to communicate back to them via it as well.
Nice. So you just get this kind of magical experience of, oh, they know I'm here already and it's ready for me and waiting.
Exactly. That is what we're always driving towards. We have comments and reviews, and I'm always looking for the best ones. It's just like, that was magic. I have no idea how they knew. They were just waiting at the curb for me right when I arrived. So that's always good to see. Just overarchingly, benefits, ROI, I've touched on a lot of these, but staff efficiency is definitely the number one. Getting more customers through faster with driving down the speed of service times. Also wanted to call out waste reduction and product freshness. So a lot of brands and restaurants have policies in place where if an order is sitting there for more than X amount of minutes, they need to wipe the counter of those orders and remake them. So we're really seeing this as a benefit of Flybuy as well, to reduce those remakes. Also dwell time for the car in the lot. If you're sitting there with your car turned on for 10+ minutes, not great for the environment. And from a brand perspective, decreasing the customer wait time, making customers happy, and repeating, making them come back more and more. So that ultimately drives boosts in sales. So all good.
Fantastic. I never even thought about the waste and the carbon emissions aspects of this. That's a really powerful impact to see there too.
Yeah, we did a really cool environmental study. If anyone's ever interested, reach out. But yeah, it was a very interesting exercise to do. We're proud of that. All right. And then last slide. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, before I dive into the demo, just wanted to call out that we're more than just the geofencing for carryout. So Flybuy as a platform, we're positioned really uniquely because we're integrated with these brands, and we can do so much with location technology. It's not just when you cross a premise boundary, alerting the staff. We've built more on top of that as a platform. So things like understanding when a customer goes to the wrong location. So I, as a customer, go to the wrong Chipotle, for example. There's many Chipotles around. I accidentally went to the wrong one. Flybuy actually sends an alert saying, hey, you're headed to the wrong location, or you just arrived at the wrong location. You actually ordered here. So using location in clever ways like that, also departure tracking to be able to auto close orders. So customer went, they picked up their order, they've left. Flybuy knows that they did that, and they can close the order from like a kitchen management system through that. So yeah,
very clever. There's so many pieces of this system. I'm looking forward to seeing behind the scenes. Can you tell us a little bit more about how you've built this with the Mapbox tools and take us on a tour behind the scenes?
Absolutely. So let me hop into the demo here. which I think will be the best way to do that. So here you'll see the customer view and the staff view side by side. As you can see on our staff dashboard, the mapping there is powered by Mapbox using the GLJS tools with mapping tiles. So that is one way we use Mapbox. The second way we use Mapbox is for the Directions API and routing and getting real-time traffic updates for when these customers are arriving. And you'll see that here in a second. So just to explain the journey side by side, and keep in mind, these are the off-the-shelf products that we offer. We have a Flybuy app, but we also have, which is going to be shown here, but a lot of brands tend to use our SDK, so you wouldn't really know you're using Flybuy white labeled solution. And then on the right, we have our staff dashboard. A lot of brands use this, but there is the option to, all of it is consumable via API and webhook. So if a customer wanted to, or a brand wanted to build their own dashboard, they could do that as well. So it's just kind of cool, I think, for Mapbox to understand it's not just our interfaces you're powering, it's more than that, which is awesome.
It's the power of flexible platforms, right?
Exactly. It just expands forever.
We're on the same wavelength there for sure.
Cool. So left side, customer view. So we're going back to customers just placed their order. They receive a text message from Flybuy saying, hey, your order is ready for pickup. We get order states from certain integrations. So, hey, we know your order is ready for pickup. Tap this link to share your location with the store and let us know you're on your way. You'll see the order has been created in Flybuy and displays on that tablet for the staff to see. There's customer information there, vehicle information once they put it in, the ETA, of course, and then pickup type or handoff method. We also have the ability to tag certain orders with certain items. As I mentioned, sometimes you need to know last minute, for example, Five Guys, they don't drop the fries until you're X minutes away because they don't want those to get soggy. So we'll tap the link there. Customer goes through, this is the Flybuy app. They have the option to forward this order to someone else, but really they'll just confirm their pickup details, their name, pickup type, vehicle information, enter all of that good stuff. And then they'll press, I'm on my way. And at that time is when we calculate an ETA with Mapbox. So we display that ETA over on the staff dashboard. You'll see 1223. And we just have a status bar there to say, hey, we've got it from here, head to the store. There's options for directions, obviously. And you can see on the staff dashboard that Taylor Jones is sharing his or her location with Flybuy based on that little icon. As soon as they progress, so they can put their app in the background, don't need to keep it up, and we'll still continue to calculate those ETAs and transition them through different states on the way to the store. So Taylor Jones is nearby. We'll continue to click through, getting closer. There's more orders that have come in. This is where I wanted to call out our delivery optimization. So we're also ingesting orders from DSPs to display on the same dashboard to weave into the same operational flow, get things ready, have visibility into when those drivers are arriving.
What's the DSP?
Oh, I'm sorry, delivery service provider. So that's Uber Eats, DoorDash, Postmates, all of those friends. Oh,
great. So you get to see all of those orders and all of those drivers all in one dashboard.
Exactly. All of the sites have been, or stores have been pre-provisioned with this outer premise boundary and then the pickup zones I mentioned previously. So just to explain that map view over there, and we overlay that on top of the Mapbox map. So you can see Taylor is arriving here. As soon as she crosses that premise boundary, she shows as arrived. There's the option to prompt a notification to her and say, welcome, pull into the pickup zone. We'll be right out. As soon as she gets into one of those drawn pickup zones, she goes into waiting. That's when our wait timer starts. So I was talking about metrics and understanding the operational performance. That's something that brands are really looking at. As you can see down at the bottom, we have analytics of what's your average delivery time today? How's your staff doing? And that ultimately drives training or other improvements. So. And then the interface changes on the customer side. Welcome. This is just showing that you can put your phone in the background, do other things. If you've been waiting more than 2 minutes, there's an option to say, hey, kitchen's backed up, or, a manual button just to say, hang tight, we're coming. And then ultimately, when that order gets brought out, you can tap into the order, see additional details, but you confirm order picked up and it gets cleared from the screen. So thanks for your order, and you're all set if you want to leave a review and comments.
Fantastic. Looks very smooth.
Yeah.
And behind all of that, the ETA calculations as the driver is moving, that's being powered by the Directions API from Mapbox.
That's correct. Yep. So we receive a lat long from our SDK local to the device, and then we send that to Mapbox and get a recalculated ETA. So that's all happening behind the scenes. Yep.
Love it. Can you tell us a little bit about the experience of building with the Mapbox tools? What has the impact been for Flybuy and for your team by working with us?
Yeah, it's been extremely easy to use. So I've been at Flybuy for 4 years now when we were implementing with Mapbox in the way beginning. And it was very straightforward, self-service, but also had a great partnership with our reps. And what I really like about Mapbox is you bring a problem to you as a team and we work together to solve it. So very hands-on service, and also just extremely reliable in the product quality. So in terms of accuracy, and that's obviously very important, the real-time traffic data for powering these tools. We are constantly getting feedback saying, you know, your ETAs are just as accurate, if not more, than other providers. So that's always great to hear. And we rely on Mapbox for those. So it's been awesome. Yeah. And always so helpful. It feels like a really good partnership. So thank you.
I like the aspect of that where, you know, Mapbox can handle some of these thorny issues, geospatial things, ETAs, live traffic, and let your team focus on the sort of specialties that you're bringing to this platform and your deep knowledge of the retail space.
And we've actually, just to give an example of one of those challenges that we overcame together, we had some new builds for some of our customers where they weren't necessarily on the maps yet. And our reps worked with us to put in new requests for mapping, for imagery, for drawing those zones. And we ultimately got to a place where we got updated images. So that was amazing. So really good partnership there.
Love to hear that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I see some questions coming in already, so maybe we'll switch over to the Q&A time here.
Sure.
Let's see. Let's get back over to that. Okay, so yes, so folks, if you have questions for Emily about Flybuy and about the wider system that they've built or working with Mapbox, please put those into the Q&A function in the Zoom here. We'll also be keeping an eye on the chat, but the Q&A function is easiest for us to keep track of questions. Okay, so looking at the first question we've got in here, Emily, thank you for your presentation. From your vantage point, what are the biggest pain points in the delivery and order logistics world today?
It's a really good question. I think the most obvious one is visibility into the ETA, which sounds very repetitive of what I've been saying, but there are so many inputs as a restaurant owner or staff associate, and you're looking at so many different things. You're making sure the order is ready from the kitchen, and it starts to fumble when you don't have a really good visibility into where the customer is to hand that off. So visibility into the driver's ETA, and then I would say communication back to the customer also is overlooked a lot. So delivery drivers have a thing called dispatch, where it's kind of a white labeled solution. So you don't know you're ordering through Uber Eats directly, you order through a brand site. And ultimately, when you order through the Uber Eats app, you get those updates about where your order is and all of the updates along the way. So the customer knows what to expect. We're finding that doesn't always get through to the customer, the tracking ability there. So that's something we're really trying to work with brands on, is how do we get those updates if they're not using the Uber Eats direct app back to the customer. So we're working with brands on building interfaces to show that, if that makes sense. So really it's communication is ultimately the answer there, bi-directional communication about statuses.
Absolutely. Actually, I'm seeing another question in the queue here that we haven't answered yet in text on the same theme. It says, consumers have increasingly high expectations for order tracking and the location intelligence of retailers that they purchase from. Like, we're trying to figure out how to build almost instantaneous delivery and seamless order tracking. Looking to the future, what do you think is the next hot location feature that will be transforming this landscape for developers?
Really great question. So we do partner with these delivery service providers, and in working with them and the brands, we've actually seen two different trends that I'll call out. One, brands are trying to understand how to get drivers in and out quickly and efficiently, just like they do their customers. So we've seen some drive-through lanes for only DSP pickup, delivery pickup, just to optimize that in and out instead of having to go into the store and then leave. The other thing, just to make it more self-service, is locker pickup. So putting orders in lockers for delivery drivers to come in and pick up to reduce the amount of labor that needs to go into that handoff. So those are two trends that we've definitely been seeing. Ultimately, it's transforming what delivery pickup looks like. Right now, it's just a little bit behind. It's fast, it's really fast, but we want to make it faster.
Yeah, that's interesting that, you can go so far with the technology, right, and have a super accurate ETA, but ultimately you still need a very efficient system there on the ground for that physical handover of the order or where people are parking, right? There's other physical considerations for the efficiency of all this.
Right. Yeah. Yep, definitely.
Nice. So yeah, folks who are building these sorts of apps and systems, you might want to work with your clients, not only on the technology standpoint, but share some of these tips and tricks for, on-premise optimizations as well.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see what else we've got in queue. So we've got a question here. I work with clients who are trying to choose between building a custom tracking solution for their orders and building and using a pre-built solution like what Flybuy offers. What factors would you take into consideration when advising a client like this?
Good question. There is always the build versus buy conversation when it comes to technology. We've been leaders in the space for over 10 years now in terms of location technology and how to apply that location technology to operations. So in working with the big brands, we've heard their pain points and have worked through a lot of challenges with them. So it's not as straightforward as building a geofence just to know when your customer is there. There's more to it than that. And it's the marrying of all of the use cases and understanding, like the features I called out when someone arrives on site and they're at the wrong site, things like that we've learned just through time are definitely, reasons why you want to invest your resources in someone who's already figured out all of that instead of building yourself. So again, we'll always be the build versus buy conversation, but also just testing it and seeing how seamless it works is always a good method too. And implementation, getting sampling of our technology and, doing a proof of concept and seeing how it goes would also go a long way.
Right. Yeah. And pretty amazing to be able to tap into experience with so many different brands all around the world, right? You've probably seen everything, right, in this space. So you help all of your clients benefit from that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, well, we've got another question here about your different customer audiences. So this attendee remarks that it's interesting, Flybuy looks like you have 3 different customer audiences: the retail client, the delivery drivers, and the end consumers. Do you notice differences in feedback or satisfaction among those 3? Or do you ever find the desires or feedback of one audience conflict with another?
Okay. Yeah. Definitely. So feedback can vary. I think everyone's always working for the common goal and wants the common goal of that magic handoff, whether they know it or not. I would say feedback we get from a brand perspective and an operation perspective is make our ETAs as accurate as possible. They're very honed in on that. Whereas the persona of the customer, they know where they are. They don't care as much about the ETAs because they know their ETA. They're very focused on getting those order statuses, like I said. So that's where we lean into how can we work with delivery service providers on dispatch orders letting the customer know where that delivery driver is. So it kind of varies a little bit. And then we have different ways of receiving feedback. We're pretty B2B and we're working with brands directly. So we have customer calls and we have trainings with operational teams to receive that staff feedback. And we go even on site, we talk and we do user interviews to see how staff are using our dashboard. And then on the customer end user side, we usually receive that through ratings and reviews. We also do, user interviews on that side too, but that's usually through the brand. So kind of varying. Yeah, definitely. But it's a fun challenge to solve. And like I said, everyone's ultimately working for the same thing because everyone understands, how positive the impacts can be when it works magically.
Right.
So, yeah.
They all just share different angles on the puzzle,
Yeah.
but it's the same puzzle that everyone's working on.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like it. Well, we've got a little question here. I think we've got a stealth map boxer here in the participants group, but they are asking, Emily, if you could wave a magic wand and have a new geospatial intelligence tool in your toolkit, what would it be? What's something that you would love to be able to do with location data and technology?
Ooh, really good question. I think a challenge that we see a lot is getting super granular on site with location. So we use Bluetooth for that. And we've been approached by different brands about, okay, now that we've expanded our options for where to pick up on site, whether it's curbside or drive-through or in store, how can we get, right now we calculate the ETA to a pin, right? A lat long. How can we get smarter about routing to a very specific area on site? So it's a challenge that we haven't figured out yet. I would love for Mapbox to help figure out of that super granular. What do you do once you're on site without tapping into hardware and Bluetooth? So I feel like it's not possible yet, but here's to hoping. Because right now, you have to go off routes and that's what we have. So yeah.
It's like super micro ETA and route
planning,
like within a parking lot, for example.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I think it might be possible. I had a couple of customers come to mind. So I think we'll be following up with you on that point, Emily. Thank you. Well, great. We are at time, folks. Thanks so much for your questions. For the questions that we didn't get to live, you can hang out with us a little bit longer and we'll try to get to them in the text just after the scheduled time here. But thank you so much, Emily, for taking us on this tour and telling us all about Flybuy and Flybuy Pickup. Looks like a really neat set of products that you get to work on.
Thanks. Thank you for the time. It's been awesome.
Awesome. Okay. Well, thank you everybody for joining us live and stay tuned for more of our customer feature webinars. It's great to have you here and asking questions and helping us learn together as a community of folks building with Mapbox. All right. Thank you so much, Emily.
Thank you.